All right, so yesterday we talked about drawing faces, and where's the full screen? There it is. How do I get rid of this guy? Oh well. So we talked about drawing faces yesterday, and I had you guys just kind of show me what you thought a face should look like out of your own head, what you could do without looking at a picture or without receiving any instruction. So today I'm going to show you a few tricks that will really help you get the eyes and the nose and everything the right size and the right shape. Okay, so if your back is turned to the screen, go ahead and turn around. It should just take about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to give you guys the rest of the class just to practice and try to figure it out and maybe try to make some changes to the one you already drew or just start another one. It's up to you. Okay. So a lot of people have a really hard time just with the head shape, right? How many of you struggled with just the shape of the head right at the beginning? It could either had a weird alien pointy chin or it was like super round, looked like a cartoon character's head. Okay, so there's a couple really easy ways to think about the shape of a head. It's basically made of two circles, a larger circle and a smaller circle. Okay, so if you can't see the lines up here, if I need to darken it, let me know. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with just a circle, a larger circle. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to change that as we go. Okay, so now this circle is a larger one, and I'm going to draw another circle that is half this size, and it's going to be right on this line, so half above, half below this bottom of this larger circle. So I'm going to draw another circle that's about half the size of the first one. Okay, and these lines are going to go away, so you don't have to worry about that. So before I do anything, I am noticing, you guys see this center line is kind of crooked, right? So the head is not straight up and down. So I actually need to move this bottom circle over a little bit, more like that. So I'm actually going to get rid of this side, kind of like that. So normally I would be drawing lighter than this. I'm drawing a little darker so you all can see it. Okay. So now I'm going to take from the bottom of this circle, and I'm just going to kind of round it up towards that. I'm going to round it up towards that. Okay, so now I can get rid of all this extra stuff. Now, I will say that I don't actually draw heads like this when I draw because I've drawn them so many times. Okay, I can just do it sort of on my own without this trick. If you think you have a better way of doing it, I'm by no means telling you have to do it this way. But thinking about things in basic shapes is the easiest way to learn how to draw something, right? If you've seen, how many of you have seen people draw like a dog or a horse and they start out with like a bunch of circles and squares and stuff, right? If you think of things as basic shapes first, it makes it a little easier. You can break it down into simpler steps that way, okay? So now I've got sort of a rough shape of a head. I'm just going to go ahead and darken this a little bit so you guys can see a little better. And normally I wouldn't darken anything until the very end, right? But since I want you to see it on the screen a little better, I'm going to darken it a little bit. Because once I add hair and everything, this line's going to go away. If this person is lucky enough to have a full head of hair. Haha. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I'm going to divide it in half both ways. This way is super easy to divide in half, right? I'm just going to draw a line up the center. Okay? People always struggle dividing this way, and usually people divide it too high up. Okay, how many, when you drew your face yesterday, you drew the eyes and it looked like they were on the forehead? Anybody? Probably, yeah. So that your eyes play tricks on you. Because the chin is narrower, you're gonna look like you're drawing the line too low when you draw it. Okay, but usually that line should go right down the center. Okay, an easy way to check this, I can take my pencil and I can put the end of the lead right on that line, and I can pinch with my thumbnail right on the bottom line, and I'm just going to slide it up. And I put my thumbnail on that one, so I'm a little low. You guys see that? How I have some extra space up here? So I could actually move this line about that high, and that would be halfway. All right. So now I've got the basic sort of setup of a head. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple more divisions here. From this center line that I just made down to the chin, I'm going to divide this in half too. Okay, so I'm going to make a mark about halfway. What do you think that line represents? Mouth? What else could it be? Huh? Okay, the nose. Okay, I'm also going to take from this line and divide again in half. Okay, so what about now? What do we think? Any ideas? Starting to look like anything? No? Okay, so this line is going to be the center line of the eyes. Okay, and I know that seems really strange. It looks like too low. But once you think about a person having hair that doesn't just start at the very top of their head, the person's hairline is going to be like down here. So from here to here is going to be forehead, and the eyes are going to be here. You still need eyes, then eyebrows, then forehead, then hair. Right? And a lot of times people just draw the eyes and they don't think about the eyebrows and the forehead and the hair. They just draw the eyes kind of up here towards the top. Okay? Because you're only thinking about the person's face and not the whole head. Okay? So the eyes are actually going to go on this line. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take from this center line and the side of the head, and I'm going to make another mark about halfway. Okay? Side of the head, center line, halfway. I really want to make sure that these lines are separated evenly, right? So the eyes are actually going to mostly be within this space. Okay, they're not going to go further out. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to draw, and it's going to look like a weird robot for a minute. Okay, I'm going to draw a circle, and a circle. Okay, that's going to be the iris of the eye. Okay, I'm going to draw another circle right in the middle. That's going to be the pupil of the eye. So if you will, for a second, just without opening your eyes bigger or making them smaller, just look at someone else around you. I want you to look, do you see the whole circle of the person's iris, or is it cut off by the eyelids? Do you see that whole circle? It's mostly cut off, right? If I draw a person's eye like this, I draw that whole circle, and then I go like this, that person looks like they're super scared or something, right? Typically the person's eye is going to be cut off on the top, by the top eyelid, and it's going to come very close to the bottom eyelid, okay? So you're not going to see this full circle at the end, okay? So now I want to do that. I'm just going to roughly draw this in. I'm not going to get too detailed right off the bat. I just want to know where the corner of these eyes are going to end up. Because the corner of the eyes is going to tell me where to put the nose. Okay? So now what I'm going to do, I want to make sure that the corners of these eyes are spaced evenly from the center line. See how this eye is a little further out? You guys seen that? So I would actually, then I need to check this empty space here, and I'm seeing that this one has more empty space. So I made this a little too big. It's going to be more like that. Okay? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a straight line down, and the nostrils aren't going to go past that line, okay, or close to it, okay? This line represents the very, very bottom of the nose, okay? Most people actually have a little bit shorter nose than that, okay? But you shouldn't draw a nose that goes past that line, or you're not going to have room for the mouth, okay? But most people, the bottom of the nose is actually slightly higher than that half point. So when you're drawing a nose, how many of you tried to draw a nose like this yesterday? Like all the way up, and maybe even come to a point at the top, right? Or I even saw some like this, right? So when you're drawing a nose, you only draw the creases around the nostril, and then all this is going to be shading. So when I'm drawing this nose, I'm just going to draw kind of these parentheses looking lines that are equal, and then I'm going to draw this sort of loop for each nostril. And then you can kind of give an idea of the round part of the nose. You can give an idea for the bridge of the nose in between the eyes. But you're going to shade the rest of that, okay? You don't want to draw this kind of thing, because then it looks super cartoony, or it kind of looks like a skeleton nose, okay? So now, the mouth. This bottom line represents the bottom of the bottom lip. So you want space for your chin, right? So you don't want to go too far down. So this, don't go any lower than that line, okay? So I'm going to draw from the center of the eyes now, down. The lips should not go past those lines, okay, the corners of the lips. They actually shouldn't even get to them. You're really going to go like right here. Okay, so this bottom lip, I just kind of draw it as a nice curve, the bottom lip, not too curvy. Okay, the top lip, I like to just draw a line straight through, and then I add this little round part to that one. And then I do this kind of deal, and then straight lines down. So obviously this is just generic. You can change it for the person you're drawing, but that's just a generic way to do that. Okay? So is this starting to look more like a face? Yes, sort of. Okay. So it looks funny now because it doesn't have eyebrows, and you can't really tell. This looks like a gigantic head, right? The last thing we need to do before we worry about all this section is the ears. Okay, and typically the ears won't go past this bottom line of the nose. Okay, and the top of them is going to be just slightly above the top of the eyelid. Okay, I think someone said that yesterday, right? The eyes and the ears. Yeah, so you made that observation yesterday. So when you're looking at someone from the front, you're not going to see, you know, this full ear, right? You're not going to see that from the front. You're only going to see a sliver of that. So the ear is actually, your ear starts on your cheekbone, really, so it's going to actually start from in here, and it's going to come up. It's going to kind of do this shape. It's going to end up like that. Okay, same thing on this side. Start sort of on the cheekbone. And I just want to make sure that they match. So obviously ears, nose, lips, those all depend on the person you're drawing. There's not an exact way to do it. Everybody has different shaped facial features. Okay? So now when I'm drawing the eyebrows, that's also pretty specific to the person you're drawing. Everybody has different eyebrows. Everybody has different spaces between their actual eye and the eyebrow. I typically like to leave the same amount of space as the eye. So I'll take from this top eyelid to this bottom eyelid, and I look at this much space, and then I'm going to leave that much space. Okay? So I just want to make sure that there's enough room for that top eyelid and that skin area above your eye. And I'm going to draw these eyebrows sort of curved. Depends on the person, obviously. Okay? And then typically, from this center line to the top of the head, you want to go at least halfway, but probably even a little higher for the hair. So if this person just had like a buzz cut, their hair would look something like this, right? Something like that. Okay? I guess the only other thing is the neck. You kind of just want, you don't want it to be too skinny and you don't want it to be too thick. There's kind of a happy medium. And what I would do is draw a line out from the corner of your mouth, and that's kind of where you want to start the neck. So it's not too thick, it's not too skinny. Okay? The shoulders are actually going to start curving off right about where the chin is. Okay? Who has questions right off the bat of that? Okay, so just to show you that I'm not crazy, and this does work. So here's a picture of Kanye, right? Line up the middle. Kanye actually has a really large jaw. Has anyone noticed that? So he actually his eye line is slightly higher because he has a very large jaw and chin. So this center line for his eyes is actually slightly higher up, not center. But you can see that the corner of his eye goes down to his nostrils. You can see that those lines down go just almost to the corner of his lips. You can see that the top of his ear lines up just above his eyelid. The bottom of his ear, you can't really see it because his jaw sticks out right there, but it's just slightly above this bottom line of his nose. Okay. This is a photo of Frida Kahlo, Mexican painter. Same idea. You know, she lines up pretty well with all the stuff I just told you. Obviously, she has lots of hair and lots of stuff on top. So the top of her head is actually right about here. So she's got a large forehead and a smaller part of hair to the top of her head, right? So she actually has her hairline is higher up. And then this one I wanted to show you guys this one because this is what happens when a person starts tilting their head or turning their head. You can see that her head is slightly tilted to the side, and she's slightly looking up. So if you look at the bottom of her ear, it actually lines up way down here with the top of her lip. And that's because when you tilt your head up, your eyes go up and your ears go down, right? If you tilt your head to the side, this ear is going to come forward and the nose is going to go off to the side. So it depends on how that person is looking. I would start just going straight forward right off the bat, okay? So this is what we're going to aim for today, all right? So you're going to need a piece of paper out of your bag. If you weren't here yesterday, I'll get you one in just a second. And then we're going to start with the shape of the head and then dividing center, half, 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 half. And I'll do it again up on the board here in just a second so you can see.